A very good evening to you. You're watching Newsfirst in Focus, and today on this edition we've got an expert in French politics. He was also the member to the UN delegation of France to the General Assembly with the signing of Brexit and presenting of the letter to Donald Tusk. I think it's apt that we talk about relations between France and Britain and also French politics. That's to do with the elections. Le Pen looks poised in elections, and also to extensively discuss about all of that and much more. We've got Mr. Jean-Pierre Page. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, Mr. Page, with the elections coming up and also the Brexit, we see a huge sentiment about disintegration of the European Union itself. Countries having this wide sentiment about removing themselves from the European Union. Some say it was not even voted in, and people's choices and policies of nations are being governed by this unitary body. What do you think about it? What is exactly happening in the European Union?
Well, what you said is very correct. Situation in Europe is characterized by a systemic crisis, which means it's a crisis, it's an economic crisis, it's a social crisis, it's a political crisis, it's an institutional crisis, etc., etc., etc. So the feeling of the people in Europe, in my country as well, but in Europe in general, is that what they were expecting from the European Union didn't show up. And even more, situation is getting, like what we could say, a disaster. It's a social disaster. The level of unemployment has increased terribly. In France, we have 9 million unemployed. In Germany, 15 million people live under the level of poverty.
Right.
If you go to countries like Greece or Spain, you will see more than 50% of the population under 25 years old are unemployed. No perspective.
Well, we'll talk about unemployment issues, and you say it's something that you see in every European country, but that's something that's very tough for a developing nation like us to comprehend because we have our problems of our own. We'll discuss about that after this short commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Newsfirst in Focus, and I'm in conversation with Mr. Jean-Pierre Page today on this edition. Well, we were talking about the consequences of the Brexit, and we also spoke about French politics. But taking a step forward, Britain and France has had a long years of relations, and you see that through the wars it's been together, through economic treaties they've struck, through trade deals they've struck together. But their relationship has been an on and off kind of relationship. You've seen Britain sometimes side with the US when it comes to France, when it comes to policies. How will this Brexit change the relationship they've got in terms of when you compare it to the years of relationship they've had over the past?
You know, the relationship between the UK and France, it's a long history, centuries of history. In fact, you know probably that the British dynasty originally comes from France. You know, we have been in a war. We have been fighting together. You know, we have been both of our countries. We have been among the most important colonial power, you know. So it's a long history. French like very much the British, and the British just the same, you know, with French. They love to come to France, as we love to go to UK. So relationship might have been conflictual certain period of history. But I would say that there is a long understanding between those two countries and their people, even if our systems are different. What will happen with the Brexit? Well, now Now we are in the process of, the UK is in the process of leaving the European Union. By the way, they're still in the European Union for the moment.
But will they strike a better deal during these 2 years of...
No, they have to... They have to negotiate their way out. The way out is decided.
Yeah.
People have decided.
Yes.
So UK will leave the European Union. It's sure. Something sure. But now they have to negotiate the conditions. So they use one article of one of our treaty, excuse me, the article number 15, and which organize in some ways those negotiations. So this is what's going to happen. And of course, there is different way to look at those negotiations. If I listen to the British Prime Minister, new Prime Minister, she said that they want to maintain with France and of course with the European Union strong relations, close relations. And I hear in the same time one of the leader of opposition in the UK saying that Jeremy Corbyn saying that Theresa May, the Prime Minister, can have in the same time the butter and the price of the butter, the money of the butter.
Eat the cake and have the cake.
So, and in Europe, Germany said, for example, that recently that UK will have to negotiate conditions of relations with the European Union based on the fact that they are not member anymore. So, which means that the UK cannot pretend having the advantages, by being member of the European Union and not being anymore member of the European Union. So this is what I believe is that there's going to be a negotiation. We'll have to see. It just started. So most probably, that decision will make UK even more closer to the US than it was before regarding many aspects of politics.
If Marine Le Pen wins the elections, do you think she will take steps to remove France from the European Union? And what will the future hold for the European Union if that happens?
I'm not sure about that because, it's very contradictory. On the one hand, she says sometimes that she will organize a referendum to leave the European Union and to leave the Euro. And on the other hand, she said that she's going to negotiate the treaties and things like that. So their position is not clear. Of course, a lot of people believe that they want to leave. But when you look closer to the politic of the National Front of Marine Le Pen, things are not so clear. In fact, our program regarding Europe or many other issues is not clear at all. I mean, it's just, surfing on the wave. People are unhappy. She goes along with what the people say. And whatever is the problem,
will that work
in a very demagogic way.
Will that work out in French politics to cater to the people whenever?
It works like this everywhere.
But we're talking about a country which introduced a republican system to the world. The epitome of politics itself.
Yes.
We're talking about France. Will this be the same even in France?
No, it's true. It's a real problem. I mean, what you raise is absolutely correct. We, as we call ourselves, we are country of the human rights, and we defend a lot of values, moral, etc. When we look at our history, of course, one thing is what we say, another thing is what we do.
Well, let's talk about Russia, the big Russia, one of the emerging superpowers, so to speak. We see a lot of involvement of Russia in politics of other countries, even the US. The Senate Intelligence Officer Richard Barr had said that Russia is involved too much in Western politics, and that even that, right after his statement, we even kind of went back to one of the scenarios that played out in France, where we saw Marine Le Pen visiting Putin in Russia. What do you think about this?
Well, I don't think that visit of Marine Le Pen is that important. What I think, what is important is that Europe spend time to discuss all issues, all problems with Russia, because Russia fundamentally is a European country. It's part of Europe. So we have to discuss about all the problems we have in common, whether it's economic, social, political, international policy that should be followed, etc., etc. Putin is a very popular man in Russia, more than 80%. He gets the support of more than 80% of the Russian people. We like it. We don't like it. It's a reality. We have to, in international politics, we have to deal with reality. So, Putin involved in our Western problems, but we are trying to get involved in his problems too. What we are doing with the United States to encircle Russia with our missiles and our troops and so on. Well, that's an image, very concrete image, which is a menace for peace, to the peace, but this is a concrete image of our involvement in Russia, in what represents Russia worldwide. So I think with Russia, with China, with any other countries, we have to spend time and to dialogue, spend time for trying to find issues to the problems we have, because nobody can say, just by myself, I'm going to resolve my problems or the problem of the world or whatever. We have to cooperate. We have to work together, even if our systems are not the same. It's not through conflictuality, through confrontation, through menace, through sanctions that you're going to make yourself understand. It is through dialogue, and this is what is important regarding our relations with Russia. So I don't know who's going to be elected in France with those next presidential elections. But one thing is sure, whoever is going to be, he will have to discuss with Putin. So it's much better if we do that in the best condition as possible. We have I speak of history and our long tradition, long history with the UK, France and UK, but also we have a long history of relationship with Russia.
Well, we've come to the end of the program, Ms. Page. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, thank you very much for joining us too. This is BizFirst in Focus. In this edition, we spoke about French politics, the Brexit and the consequences, the economic consequences of Brexit. And next week, we'll have a brand new topic awaiting on BizFirst in Focus. Good night.